Location is a choice. Every structure ever built required someone to look at a piece of ground, or a cliff face, or a mountain summit, or the middle of an ocean, and decide that was where it would stand. For most of history, that decision was constrained by practicality. Building on flat ground near water and resources made sense. Building anywhere else made everything harder. And yet, across the ancient world, civilizations repeatedly chose the hardest possible locations and built there anyway, at extreme altitude, on sheer rock faces, on remote islands, and deep inside mountains. These are 10 ancient structures built in locations that still have no satisfying explanation. Rising nearly 200 meters above the surrounding jungle in Sri Lanka, Sigiriya is a fortress built on top of a sheer volcanic rock column with vertical sides on every face. To reach the summit, ancient builders carved staircases directly into the rock and constructed a gateway through the mouth of a carved lion. At the top, the remains of a palace complex include terraces, pools, and water features that required a supply system capable of moving water to the top of a near-vertical rock face. Surrounding the base are formal gardens with fountains that still function during the rainy season. How materials were transported to the summit and how a functioning water system was engineered at that height remains unclear. High in the Peruvian Andes, at an elevation of 2,430 meters, the Inca city of Machu Picchu sits on a narrow ridge between two mountain peaks with steep drops on nearly every side. The site contains over 200 structures, temples, residences, terraces, and water channels, all built from stone fitted without mortar. The granite used in construction was quarried on site or transported up steep mountain terrain. The drainage system was engineered to handle the region's heavy rainfall without destabilizing the foundations. Building a city of this scale in this location, with the precision that is visible today, would represent a significant engineering challenge, even with modern equipment. Suspended across a vertical cliff face in Shaanxi Province, China, the hanging temple of Hengshan appears to defy its own weight. The structure is anchored to the rock face by wooden beams driven horizontally into the cliff, with the building's floor resting on those beams. It has remained in this position for over 1,500 years. The distribution of weight across the beam system suggests a sophisticated understanding of structural engineering. But how the construction was carried out, on a vertical surface, at significant height, using only ancient tools, has never been fully explained. The placement itself raises a question that has no obvious answer. Why here at all? On top of a flat-topped mountain plateau in southern Israel, Masada rises more than 400 meters above the Dead Sea. Herod the Great built an elaborate palace complex at the summit, including bathhouses, storerooms, a swimming pool, and a three-tiered palace built into the northern cliff face. Every material used in construction, stone, timber, plaster, water, had to be carried up the mountain. The water supply alone required a system of channels and cisterns capable of collecting and storing enough rainfall to sustain a large population in one of the driest environments on Earth. The logistics of building and supplying Masada have been studied in detail and remain in several respects unresolved. In the remote Pacific, on an island with no natural building stone nearby, the ancient city of Nan Madol was constructed on a series of 92 artificial islands built from coral and basalt. The basalt used in construction weighs up to 50 tons per piece and was transported across open ocean from a source on the other side of the island, or possibly further. There are no written records of how this was done. The canals between the islands still exist. The walls still stand. But the method of transport and the decision to build an entire city in the middle of the ocean in the first place has never been adequately explained. If you're enjoying this so far, consider subscribing. There are many more ancient mysteries still to come, and you won't want to miss them. Carved into a sheer cliff face more than 40 meters above the ground in Jordan, the treasury of Petra is the most recognized of hundreds of rock-cut structures that make up the ancient Nabatean city. The facades are detailed, columns, pediments, carved figures, all executed at heights that would have required sustained scaffolding or suspended platforms. The Nabateans cut into rock from the top down, removing material as they descended, but coordinating that process across dozens of structures at varying heights, while maintaining the precision visible in the finished facades, represents a level of planning that is rarely examined in detail. On a narrow volcanic peninsula on the Greek island of Athos, the monastery of Simonopetra clings to a cliff face more than 300 meters above the sea. Built in the 14th century, it extends outward from the rock on wooden balconies that project over a vertical drop. Every stone used in its construction was carried up from the sea below. The building has survived earthquakes, fires, and centuries of exposure to the elements in one of the most exposed positions imaginable. How it was built, and how it has remained standing in that location for over 6 centuries, is a question that structural engineers still find interesting. Deep in the Ethiopian highlands, the churches of Lalibela were not built upward, but carved downward into solid volcanic rock. The most famous, Bete Georgis, is shaped as a cross and cut entirely from a single block of stone, descending more than 12 meters below the surrounding ground level. The trenches surrounding it were also carved from the rock. No material was added. Everything visible, walls, windows, roof lines, interior columns, was created by removal. Achieving that result without a single structural error in solid rock, with no ability to correct mistakes, remains one of the most demanding construction challenges in the ancient world. On a tiny island in the middle of Loch Navar in Ireland, the Devonish Island Round Tower rises more than 25 meters from ground that is accessible only by water. Every stone used in its construction was transported across the lake. The tower itself is tapered with precision, with a conical cap that has remained in place for nearly 1,000 years. Building a structure of this height on an island with no land connection, using only boats for supply, suggests a logistical operation that is rarely given the attention it deserves. At the summit of Mount Nemrut in southeastern Turkey, at an elevation of over 2,100 meters, the tomb sanctuary of King Antiochus sits among enormous stone statues of gods and kings, some standing over 9 meters tall. The heads have long since fallen from the bodies and rest on the ground around the base of the artificial burial mound. The stones used in construction were not found at the summit. They were transported there. How that was achieved on a remote mountain peak with no road access, in a region with extreme winters, has never been satisfactorily explained. The site sits largely in isolation, visited by few, understood by fewer. These locations share one thing. None of them made building easier. Every one of them made it harder, sometimes dramatically so. And in every case, the civilization that chose that location succeeded. The structures still stand, the questions remain. If you enjoyed this video, check out the next one on screen, where we explore even more ancient structures that experts still cannot explain.